Okay, so let's talk about number 1 then, because it seems like we're a little bit mixed. So for number 1, did they copy the problem down correctly? You have it on your paper, check your work. It's up on the board. So now it's -4 in for z, right? So you get -8. -8 plus 1 is -7. Negative here stays. I agree with number 1. Okay, let's look at number 2. Okay, number 2. Agree or disagree? I also agree. Okay, number 3. Agree or disagree? So you have negative, negative, positives, negatives. I agree. No. Yeah, I mean. Okay, let's look at 4. Agree, disagree? Uh-oh.
See a lot of downs.
Okay, let's start with the beginning. Did they copy everything down correctly? I see where we disagree. So -4 and -1 becomes? No. -5. So you have 3. Are those supposed to be absolute values? Like, you made them brackets. Are they absolute values?
Yeah, they're absolute values.
Okay, well they made brackets. It confused me. And then it's plus absolute value of -1. So absolute value of -5 is +5. So you have 3 times 5 plus 1. So that's 15 plus 1, which is 16.
I got 10.
Is something copied wrong up there? I mean, I only know what I have up there.
I got -16. Because your 3 times 5, it would become -15.
It can't be a
But it
negative.
become a positive.
Yeah, it can't be negative. There's no way to get a negative answer in 4.
With the -1, you forgot to add the negative down to the 1.
It's positive. The absolute value of -1 is 1.
Yeah, there's some. I gotta write that down myself and do it.
Yeah,
Number
but I messed
4?
it up. What's the wrong
Can you
number?
bring I think here, I think this is an issue because I think x is a -1, so it should be minus
Whoever
-1.
copied it down, copied it down.
Minus -1. Yeah, it's z minus x. Z is
But actually,
-4.
okay, so they moved up in here. This is actually a 3.
Yeah,
That's what I was asking.
yeah.
So if it was not positive,
Yeah.
oh man, let's see that. So this is the guy. You might be okay.
I didn't have a negative one there. I had a like where the -1 and -1
I don't know. It's negative in there. I see on the board, I just erased what I wrote. So like, you wrote -1, so that was -5, but it should have been a positive.
I wrote positive. Oh, there, I didn't do that one, so.
Oh, okay. I was like, I don't know what you mean. So this is -3, but the absolute value of -3 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 plus 1 is 10. That's what I was, yes.
We're good now. Yeah. Agree or disagree with -4? Yep. All right, so Mr. Mannion, read me what my...
It should be the absolute value of A minus 5,
Okay,
then -1.
okay. And what is A equal to?
2.
A is positive 2.
So 2 minus 5 minus 1 gives absolute value of -3 minus a 1. And absolute value of -3 is 3. 3 minus 1 is positive 2. Do we see where we messed up in there?
Yeah.
Awesome. And again, guys, that's why we do these on the board. We want to make sure that you are all, able to see your errors, find errors, check your work with your peers. Number 6.
Yeah, I see where I messed up. I did anything the negative.
Okay. All right. So, yes, exactly. We could already catch the error, right? So right here, that should be a positive 2. The absolute value makes it positive. So therefore, my answer needed to not be 6, but 10.
Yeah, I see where I messed up. I was keeping the negatives.
Okay.
For every time I'd like move it down, I'd like do the order, but I'd keep the negatives.
Okay.
I just forgot to actual sign doing the problem.
And I agree with this one.
Okay, and 7.
Yeah, I did.
7?
Yeah.
2? Yeah.
Awesome. And I didn't take a picture of 8, but for 8 we got 3. Agree or disagree?
There's a lot that don't like that one.
Okay, let's plug in number 8 then. So, Mr. Mannion, I apologize again.
Absolute value of A plus B, and then minus C outside. A is 2, B is -3, and C is -4.
I do that okay?
It looks right.
Awesome. So you do your parentheses, absolute values kind of at the beginning, because parentheses and absolute values fall together in order of operations. So this becomes the absolute value of -1. A minus becomes a positive 4. So the absolute value of -1 is 1. 1 plus 4 is 5. So again, whoever did my number 8, you added or you made the -3 positive, and it's not positive until after you combine your terms and then get your absolute value. You have to combine inside the absolute value before you change the sign. Okay? Extending our knowledge of absolute value equations. We are now solving absolute value equations. So for the past few days, we've been solving expressions, which means we haven't had any equal signs. So if you look around the room and you look at all the problems, there's no equal signs. What we're doing now is going to involve an equal sign. So an equal sign means we need to find an answer. There are two cases when we solve absolute values. There's the positive case and the negative case. So every time you see me do an absolute value equation with you, you're going to see me take the absolute value at the top, equal to a number, and the next thing I'm going to do is split that. So again, guys, you could fill this in on that slide where I'm writing. The absolute values are going to be gone, and it's going to equal the positive number, and then we're going to write it again equal to that number, but that number negative. So you're going to take what's in the absolute values, and we don't know what it is, it's just generic. So we're going to call that scribble blue. And you're going to drop the absolute values, and you're going to rewrite it so that the scribble in the blue is equal to that number at the end, both where that number is positive and where that number is negative. And then you have to solve for the blue scribble in each separately. So does anybody remember doing this? This is going to be a lesson we take slowly then. So we have the absolute value of 2x minus 1 equals 7. So we're going to drop the absolute value, and we're going to rewrite this twice. We're going to write it equal to positive 7 with no absolute values. And we're going to write it equal to negative 7 with no absolute values. So we have case 1 and case 2, where it's equal to a positive and equal to the negative. Give me a thumbs up if you're okay so far. Alright, so it is the same thing, but your answers are going to be different. And they're not necessarily going to be opposites. I always say that, and then my answers are opposites. So, the absolute value, if you recall, we taught you that the absolute value represents the distance a number is from 0. So for equations, there's always going to be a number on the left and a number on the right that gets moved so that distance is equal. So for example, the absolute value of 5 is the same distance as the absolute value of negative 5 on the number line. Would you agree that the distance from 0 to 5 and negative 5 is the same? You agree with that? Well, that's what's happening in these equations. The distance 2x minus 1 is from positive 7 is the same distance 2x minus 1 is from negative 7. Does that help a little bit? Like you can sort of see that connection to where the absolute value is coming from here versus the absolute values we were just looking at. Awesome. So, once you have your two cases, guys, this is just like what we did last week. You're just solving for x. It's just that now you have to solve for x twice. So if we look at case 1, what am I going to do to case 1 to solve for x, Zoe? Perfect. I'm going to add 1 to both sides. You know what's really nice? Whatever I do on the left case side, I'm doing on the right case side. So again, you kind of have like this imaginary line where you're doing two problems side by side. So 7 plus 1 is, Stomach? Good. And negative 7 plus 1, Dominique? Perfect. So now I have 2x equals 8 and 2x equals negative 6. I'm going to butt pick on someone else. I know you two know. I appreciate the enthusiasm. Okay, so Luke, how do I solve for x? Either one. It's the same. Perfect. I divide by 2. 8 divided by 2 is awesome. And negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. Do we see how the answers I got for both aren't the same? They're not opposites of each other. That's why you have to split the problem at the very beginning and not just switch the signs at the end. Go ahead, ask away, Luke. All right, I'm going to have Mr. Mannion assist because I can't hear very well.
A lot of times you can just write it as x equals 4 or x equals negative 3. You'll need both of those. If you're taking a quiz on this, you would need both x equals 4 and x equals negative 3. So you just write x equals negative 4 or x equals negative 3. That's all you need. Those will be a little different when we get to those here.
Okay. Let's try the next one. I think maybe if we do another one, it'll help. So, I apologize. I forgot that the textbook likes to graph these on a number line. So, we get our 2 answers, and what we're doing is we're putting them on the number line. What do you notice about the difference from negative 3 to 4? What do you know about the difference from negative 3 to 4, Dominique? Okay. Abby? Okay. Yeah, we got some of those number. Yeah, Luke? They're 7 apart. And what was our absolute value equal to? The very, very beginning problem was the absolute value of, coincidence? No. That should happen every time you graph your answers on the number line. Whatever number the absolute value is equal to is the distance apart those two numbers should be on the number line. Yeah? Okay? The absolute value of p plus 6 equals negative 5. What's the number one rule of an absolute value? Madison? It can't equal a negative. The absolute value is always. So what do you think the answer to number 2 is? If an absolute value can't equal a negative, what do you think, Dominique? What's the solution to that? If an absolute value can never equal a negative, what's my solution? Yeah. It's kind of a trick question, right? There is a no solution. Excellent job, Madison. Way to know that it can't equal a negative, because that's important. An absolute value cannot be negative, therefore the solution is none. Yes, Luke? Yeah. Yep, the 0 with the line through it stands for no solution, and you are welcome to use it. So here's what I want to do. we're going to do this one together. If we don't finish, this one and the last one will be your homework. So let's start as much as we can. What am I going to do to start my problem? Go ahead, Dominique.
How about you have to, you have to bring them down about 2x plus 3 equals 5.
Yep.
Then 2x plus 3 is equal to negative 5.
Very good.
Fantastic. And then, guys, what do we do? Solve for x. So I'm going to leave you to finish out that one and the next one. Okay? Bring those back done for me tomorrow.